Hey guys, it's Troy here, and today I'm going to be reviewing your most recent sports card pickups. Thank you to everyone for sending so many over on Instagram, but I went through and picked out a couple that I personally thought were interesting. People sent in the exact card they bought, the price they paid, and I'm going to be rating each one on a scale of 1 to 5 stars based on a lot of things. Entry point, future potential, risk, how easy it is going to be to move or to sell it, just a bunch of different things. It's a little bit subjective and I am far from an expert, but I thought it'd be fun and maybe helpful to some of you guys who've made these purchases or even those who just like to watch and get ideas and learn from other people. So with that being said, we'll just get straight into it. And we have a cool first one from Jack Sarge, and he picked up a Devin Booker Immaculate Auto at a 99 in raw condition for $250. So let me say right off the bat, I'm a big fan of Devin Booker. What he did in the playoffs last year, I think he could be the star guy, but he also would fit in well playing with other star players, as we saw with Chris Paul. He doesn't necessarily need the ball in his hands at all times. I'm not necessarily too bullish on the Suns because I think CP3 is getting a little older. I'm not sure they have enough talent to really win a championship on that team, but we'll see how Devin Booker progresses. I think regardless, if you have him on your team, you're going to be in contention. You're going to be making some noise. He's a winning basketball player and he still can improve a lot. Now for this card, I like it. It's immaculate. It's a rookie. It's an auto. It's a nice card. But at the same time, I have a couple issues with it. Right off the bat, from an investing perspective, and yes, most of this will be done from prospecting because if you're just buying to collect, everything gets 5 stars. Buy what you like. Who am I to tell you what you should or should not buy? But from an investing perspective, I try to stay away from raw cards, especially if they're older ones. Raw cards are harder to move or sell for a couple reasons. One would be on eBay, if you sell it and the person can return it for basically any reason if you sell a raw card on eBay. If it arrives, they can just say, oh, look at this little microscopic scratch right here. It's damaged, not as described, boom. You gotta pay for them to send it back. And for me, that experience is beyond frustrating, so I really just try to avoid it whenever I can. And also, even if you're not dealing with bad apples, in general guys, investors, people who are speculating, are looking more for slabs. That's what you hear everyone talk about. Slab talk, slab stocks. That's just the way the hobby works. Those are the easiest cards to buy and sell. That's not to say you can't make money off raw cards. Plenty of people have done it, will do it. I know you can sell off eBay. There's some things you can do, but in general, especially if it's an older card, there's probably a reason it hasn't been graded, so it's probably not in great condition. I prefer to buy slabs if I'm looking to invest in a guy like Devin Booker. It's also a sticker auto, which is good. I have sticker autos, but I think the vast majority of collectors prefer to have that on-card auto. It just hits a little bit different. With that being said though, with this particular card, it does seem like you got a good deal. Comps are more around $350. You bought it in July, kind of at a low period. The verticals, they're on card, but those are going for almost $450. So picking up a Devin Booker rookie auto from a nice set, I think it's a good idea. I think you did well with the price. I do have a couple hangups on it because it's raw and it's a sticker auto. So I'm gonna give this one 3.5 stars. Next up is from Leo Copies, and he picked up a Kareem Adeyemi Topps Chrome Orange Refractor out of 25 for only $125. Adeyemi is a striker for Red Bull Salzburg, and you guys probably aren't familiar with him if you're not super into soccer, but he plays for the German national team and also Salzburg, which is the same club that Erling Haaland came from. And he has been tearing it up lately, scoring a ton of goals, looking really polished out there, doing great things, and people are getting really excited about this young guy. And it shows in his card prices too. I won't beat around the bush at all. This one is 5 stars because the most recent comp on this exact card was $510. Not too bad considering he only paid $125, what, like 2 months ago? There's not too much bad I can say about this card. Obviously, you could flip it now for basically 5 times what you paid for it. Yes, it's raw, but it's a $500 card now, so you can go get it graded and it shouldn't hurt too much. Obviously, the only negative really is he's unproven. As any young player is in any sport, there's always going to be risk there. But at the same time, with that risk comes the reward, which is exactly what we just saw. This guy 5 times his money in 2 months. That's not gonna happen with my Tim Duncan Topps Chrome rookies. And I've been thinking forever of like how to make a video about this, how to frame it. we always hear, buy the goats, which is true, and it's the safest way to do it. And I'm sure if you ran the numbers, it's one of the best ways, but it just gets repeated so often. And what I don't like is people act like if you're not buying the goats, you're an idiot. You're making a huge mistake without acknowledging the benefit of prospecting. Yeah, we acknowledge the risk all the time. If you've been on YouTube or Blowout or Instagram, trust me, you've heard plenty about the risk of prospecting, but I think a lot of the people in the space, I want to say, you know, they're kind of scared to talk about prospects. But if you do your research, guess right, and understand the risks, you can do really, really well. That's not gonna happen to your Dan Marino rookies outside of that one period back in February where all them went crazy. And since then, boom, I'll throw up a graph. Who do we wanna throw up? We'll throw Kobe Bryant up there. And as you can see there's plenty of risk. You can go wrong with the goats. You can lose a lot of money, just like you can with prospects, just like you can with the goats. So obviously that's not me advocating just pour your money into all unproven prospects, but I think people need to talk about it more and actually up the guys like this guy who did really well prospecting. Congrats, man, that's awesome. I'm excited to see how Adeyemi performs, even though I'm butchering his name. I think he has big things coming. He's getting a little expensive right now, but luckily for you, you bought in early, so 5 stars. Next up, we have It's Mazar, who bought a LaMelo Ball Prism Silver Raw for $300. I didn't know what to think when I first saw this one. I haven't bought any LaMelo Ball cards, so I wasn't really sure. You know, it's in raw condition too, so I was curious, how does this compare to other top young guards? So I went on Market Movers, link down below, 20% off with my code TRIKE415, would really appreciate it. But looking at his graph here, comparing him to Trae Young Prism Silver Raw and Ja Morant Prism Silver Raw, 2 of the top young guards who he's going to be competing with for attention in the hobby. And surprisingly enough, it seems like they're all hovering around pretty much the same exact price point. You're going to see peaks and valleys because of the condition of raw cards, but it seems like they're in the same general vicinity. And that's not what I would have guessed. I would have guessed actually LaMelo Ball would have been more expensive than both, considering he's new and there's a ton of hype there. But there are a couple things to consider. First of all, the print run on the LaMelo Ball Prism Silver is gonna be way, way higher than it was on the Trae and even on the Ja Morant. The other thing to consider is, just like with the Devin Booker, if you wanna sell it, you're probably gonna look to get it graded. And right now with PSA, that's gonna run you 150 bucks. And the other thing to consider is Ja Morant and Trae Young have just proven way more than LaMelo Ball has. We've seen some flashy highlights from LaMelo, and I think he played really well, but Trae Young and Ja Morant have already shown they can get it done in the playoffs. I've seen some big things to them. Those two could legitimately be number ones on winning playoff teams. They've already shown that. LaMelo hasn't shown that. But at the same time, I'd make the argument that actually his potential out of those 3 might even be the highest. Trae has shown us a lot, so I'm not sure I want to quite say that, but with LaMelo's size, what he can do defensively, Trae will never be able to do what LaMelo Ball can do defensively, rebounding, pushing the break, finishing at the rim. He just has an incredible skill set. If he puts it all together, he could be literally one of the top players in the NBA. However, at this point in time, would I pay $300 for a LaMelo Ball Prism Silver Raw? Probably not. So for this one, I'm gonna have to give it 2.5 stars, because while I believe in LaMelo, there's still a ton of releases to come from his draft class. So I kind of want to wait to see everything release, maybe see what happens with the PSA situation, just get to a point where I'm more confident in his prices and what's gonna happen. And you know, there's a small chance maybe I missed the boat. I have to acknowledge that, but I still don't think it's the time for me personally to rush in and buy LaMelo Ball cards. But all right, guys, if you did enjoy this one, make sure to like for me to continue the series, or comment. Leave your pickups down below and how much you paid for it, and I'll definitely try to do another one of these. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.